Welcome back to Twilight Threads, the sanctuary for stories that captivate and mystify. First-time listener or longtime fan, we've got another tantalizing tale for you. So sit back and let's delve into today's story. We moved to Larkspur Lane on a rainy day. The drops mixed with the gray of the town, casting an almost mystical sheen over the old cobblestone streets and towering oaks. Mom said it was a fresh start, but it felt more like stepping into a world lost in time. There was a peculiar charm to the houses with their moss-covered roofs and slightly crooked chimneys. The locals, though polite, had a guarded look in their eyes, making me wonder what secrets lay behind the town's facade. As our car trundled along, I spotted a crow perched on a sign that read, "Welcome to Larkspur." It cawed eerily as if trying to convey a message I wasn't prepared to understand. My first day at Larkspur Middle School was mostly a blur of introductions and navigating unfamiliar hallways. But amidst the sea of new faces, one stood out, Ilara. With raven black hair and hauntingly pale eyes, she sat at the back of the classroom, her gaze distant, lost in thoughts. Only she knew. She always kept an ornate, locked box beside her, the engravings on which seemed to shimmer under the dim classroom lights. Curiosity took over, and during lunch, I approached her. "What's in the box?" I inquired. She hesitated, her fingers tracing its intricate patterns. "Something old? Something borrowed?" she whispered, her voice tinged with a melancholy I couldn't quite grasp. A month into our stay, I started hearing whispers about the lunar gathering. On the night of every full moon, townsfolk would congregate at Larkspur Square. Intrigued, I peered out of my window during one of these nights and saw a mesmerizing sight. People formed a perfect circle, swaying rhythmically, their hands connected, voices harmonizing in a haunting melody. The dance was hypnotic, their faces etched with determination. The centerpiece of the square was a statue of a crow, and it felt like its stone eyes watched them intently. The next morning, nobody spoke of it. When I asked my classmates, they'd changed the subject. It was clear. This was a town secret, one they weren't ready to share with an outsider. My curiosity intensified. One weekend, I sneaked into the town's library archives. Dusty old newspapers and fragile manuscripts filled the dimly lit room. Hours of searching led me to a chilling discovery. Every decade, a resident of Larkspur vanished without a trace. The disappearances always occurred a week after the full moon gathering. Grainy photographs accompanied the articles, faces of people forever lost to the town's mysterious past. The oldest record was from nearly a century ago. A journal entry mentioned a shadowy curse and a plea to keep the dance alive. As I delved deeper, a feeling of unease grew. The next full moon was approaching, and I wondered if history was doomed to repeat itself. It was during a stormy afternoon that Ilara approached me at school, the antique box clutched tightly in her hands. "I need you to keep this for a while," she implored, her voice trembling. Bewildered, I took the heavy box, sensing its profound significance. Ilara's gaze was intense, filled with a mix of fear and resolve. "You've been asking questions, digging into Larkspur's history," she began. "This box, it's tied to everything." She explained that her family had been the guardians of the box for generations, ensuring its contents remained undisturbed. She wasn't sure why, but she felt an increasing urge to open it. Entrusting it to me, she hoped, would keep that temptation at bay. The box became a puzzle I was determined to solve. One evening, I discovered a faded map tucked under its base. It depicted Larkspur's surrounding forests with an X marking a particular clearing. Emboldened by curiosity, I embarked on a trek the next day. The forest was denser than I'd imagined, ancient trees with gnarled roots creating eerie silhouettes. Guided by the map, I eventually reached the clearing, dominated by a stone circle with peculiar symbols. In its center lay an indentation, the exact size and shape of Ilara's box. As the setting sun's rays illuminated the circle, the symbols began to glow softly, hinting at a connection between the stone circle, the box, and the town's rituals. The day of the next full moon arrived swiftly. Determined to uncover Larkspur's secrets, I hid near the square as night fell. As the ritual began, I noticed Ilara standing apart from the circle, her gaze fixed on the crow statue. Something compelled me to approach her. She whispered, her words barely audible over the hypnotic chant. The ritual isn't a celebration, it's a shield. The dance, she revealed, was a protective barrier. Every decade, when the entity inside the box grew stronger, it sought freedom, resulting in a townsperson's disappearance. The ritual fortified the box's seal, but its strength waned with time. This decade's ritual was crucial. With the box not in its ancestral home, the seal's integrity was compromised. The dance's potency was uncertain, and the town faced an impending threat. Ilara and I, bound by the weight of the town's fate, decided to confront the box's enigma. That night, under the canopy of shimmering stars, we placed it within the stone circle's indentation. The moment it settled, an otherworldly hum filled the air. Shadows began to dance around the circle, converging and taking a semi-solid form. We realized we'd inadvertently awakened the entity. It spoke in riddles, its voice echoing from a time long past. Freedom I seek, a debt to be paid. Break the cycle or another will fade. The shadows began to swirl, moving faster, threatening to break free. Ilara's eyes met mine, a silent understanding passing between us. The town's safety was in our hands, and we had to find a way to reinforce the seal. In a desperate attempt, Ilara began to hum the same melody the townsfolk chanted during the lunar ritual. I joined in, our combined voices echoing through the forest. The entity hesitated, its swirling form pausing momentarily. Seizing the chance, Ilara whispered instructions to me. We needed to modify the ritual, adding our own intent to strengthen the seal. Relying on our bond and the collective will of generations past, we danced around the stone circle, tracing the ancient symbols with our steps. The box, responding to our actions, glowed intensely. As our dance reached its climax, a blinding flash engulfed the clearing. The entity, with a final, defeated cry, was drawn back into the box, the seal stronger than ever. The next morning, Larkspur felt different, as if a heavy fog had been lifted. Birds sang louder, and the sun seemed to shine brighter. The townsfolk, sensing the change, gathered at the square. Ilara and I stood before them, the box displayed prominently. She spoke of the entity, the ritual, and the sacrifices of the past. With the cycle broken, the town was free, but vigilance was essential. The box would remain with her family, its guardians, but Larkspur's secret would no longer be hidden in shadows. As days turned to weeks, the town transformed. The once guarded expressions were replaced by smiles, and Larkspur's history became a testament to resilience. I, once an outsider, found a home and purpose. Together with Ilara, we would ensure that the shadows of Larkspur Lane remained just tales told under the moonlight. Did you enjoy what you've just heard? If so, why not share this episode with a friend who you think might love it as much as you did? And remember, there's a super thanks button just waiting for your click. Feel free to tip me according to the value you think this content brings to you. Your support is what fuels this endeavor, making all of this possible. As always, your time and attention are greatly appreciated. I can't wait to welcome you back in the next episode. See you there.